So hello, welcome all of you. How you are, my 11th standard students? So as per your Ekam Kasoti, 4th Ekam Kasoti, some topics are there within us to be continued. The one poem, 2 lessons are there, and I think so from supplementary we had done or not, I'm not sure. But let's go to the chapter number 4. Landscape of the soul, as it is in your course from the Ekam Kasoti, and anyway you have to go little bit with English too. So I had checked your last this Ekam Kasoti, superb writing by many of the students, but there are some of you are writing in such a way can't understand. But you all are in now 11th standard and you have to write according to the section. You cannot indicate the sections. Why government is designing this all thing, keeping section and this all thing? You are not now kids that you are writing this like a ridiculous thing. Go through each and every section. If your section is not mentioned in your book, in your answer sheet, I am sorry, I would not give not a single half mark to your question, though it will be the right one. So it's my just request to all of my dear students, my genius students, to go with your sections that you are mentioning in your books. So let's start with the 4th chapter, landscape of the soul. Is the landscape? What is landscape? Can anybody, if I would be in front of you, I might have asked the first question to you. What is landscape? Paintings, we can say, are the landscape. Mona Lisa is there, a great painting, yet not studied, yet not understood by the world, the people of world, that what does it criticize, analyze something, but the great paintings is there. Can it be a landscape? And here there is a title, landscape of soul. You know, painters are there, artists. Can't imagine. While watching yesterday, I was watching about CID, that serial comes on Sony, and this also Sony Pearl and this thing. My daughter told Papa how they were this sketch artist, how he could prepare a picture of a criminal by just not looking at, not had ever seen that person, gone through it, how it is possible. So these are God gifted, these artists are there, painters are there, they are God gifted. They can create the physical appearance of the person on papers, on curtains, or anything we can say. So let's continue with the lesson on page number 34. A wonderful old tale is told about the painter Wood Dowsey, who lived in the 8th century. His last painting was a landscape commissioned by the Tang Emperor Xuanzong to decorate a palace wall. The master had hidden his work behind a screen, so only the emperor would see it. So there was a painting in the 8th century. The king told the painter to paint on the wall, and it was hidden by the screen so that only the king can go through it. For a long while, the emperor admired the wonderful scene, discovering forests, high mountains, waterfalls, clouds floating in an immense sky, men on helipads, birds in flight. Look, sigh, said the painter. In the cave, at the foot of the mountains, dwells a spirit. The painter claps his hands, and the entrance to the cave opened. The inside is splendid majesty the way. The inside is splendid beyond anything words can convey. Please let me show your majesty the way. The painter entered the cave, but the entrance closed behind him, and before the astonished emperor could move or utter a word, the painting had vanished from the wall. Not a trace of Wu Dazu's brush was left, and the artist was never seen again in the world. So what does it mean? A painting was created in such a way that the some birds, mountains, streams, and lots of things that we go through the painting. But it was created in such a way with a soil. Here there is the landscape of soil, we can say. There was an entrance nearby the cave. We can go inside, and this all thing happens. So king, after few years, I'm sorry. King after few years was not much more interested, but later what happened? The painter was called. He was there within that. Then that with the circumstances, how does his art work? He had shown to the king, and due to this great painting and the we can say the lack of interest of the king, even the painter disappears, and after disappearing him, even the whole, we can say, the whole scene, the whole painting was disappeared. What does it mean? Such stories played an important part in China's classical education. The books of Confucius and Zhengzai are full of them. They help the master to guide his disciple in the right direction beyond the anecdote. There are deeply revealing of the spirit in which art are considered. Consider this story or another famous one about a painter who would draw the eye of a dragon he had painted for fear it would fly out of the painting, with an old story from my native Flanders that I find most representative of the Western painting. So in the 8th century, this was the mystery. Yeah, this was the myth, we can say, that people used to say like these stories. As we know, as our grandmothers and forefathers used to say different kinds of stories of fairy tales, we can say. She comes and she makes this thing and then disappears. So this type of stories were taught in China at that time, that a painter you would write to in a such a way, in a we can say, we can't just imagine. In such a way he paints that it looks like a real. For example, has given here that he draws the dragon eye and suddenly the dragon fly out from the screen. So these types of stories were narrated and taught to the Chinese students. In the 15th century, Antwerp, a master blacksmith called Quentin Maxius fell in love with a painter's daughter. The father would not accept a son-in-law in such a profession. So Quentin sneaked into the painter's studio and painted a fly on his latest panel with such delicate realism that the master tried to sweat it away before he realized what had happened. Quentin was immediately admitted as an apprentice into his studio. He married his beloved and went on to become one of the most famous painters of his age. These two stories illustrate what each form of art is trying to achieve: a perfect illusionistic likeness in Europe, the essence of inner life and spirit in Asia. So it is suggested, this story suggests that what? There is depth. There is depth, just like that it fulfills the soul. All efforts are being made by the painter to, just we can see, I had given the example of Mona Lisa, that on one angle it seems it's smiling, on the another angle it seems that it's looking calmly on us, on another angle there are the different aspects that we can see on that pictures. So such a we can say imaginative pictures that we have never imagined. Such type of pictures are drawn over there by different painters throughout the world. In the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting and appreciates its outer appearance. but the artist reveals to him the true meaning of his work. The emperor may rule over the territory he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way within. Let me show the way. The Tao, a word that means both the path or the method and the mysterious works of the universe. The painting is gone, but the artist had reached his goals beyond any material appearance. So the Chinese story, the first story suggests about the work of the painter, how he had worked with each and every aspect which soul he had indulged in him in the painting his own soul. So he suggests that the king can rule. The king used to look over the outer shade, the painting. Yeah, it's good. Yes, this one, that one, that one. But the painter knows that what he has spent in his the whole life, his whole soul in it. So he vanishes away within the painting. A classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view as would a Western figurative painting, whereas a European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and look at a particular landscape exactly as he saw it from a specific angle. The Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not real one, and you can enter it from any point, then travel in it. The artist creates a path for your eyes to travel up and down, then back again in a leisurely movement. This is even more true in the case of horizontal scroll, in which the action of slowly opening one section of the painting, then rolling it up to move on to the other, adds a dimension for time which is unknown in any other form of painting. It also requires the active participation of the viewer, who decides at what pace he will travel through the painting. A participation which is physical as well as mental. The Chinese painter does not want you to borrow his eyes, he wants you to enter his mind. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. So here different type of paintings, painters from different types. A Chinese painter, a European, Asian painters. So they all derive their work in different form. A Chinese will make that you fell in the depth of that painting. Another one makes that different dimension with different angle. If you go through that painting, will be in it. The European, the Asian, so they derive their painting, they make their painting in the different ways, and it depends upon the nature. So we can understand that they are keeping their soul in it, so that not only with the visionary factor that we can just, yes, this seems very, but by heart, by soul, if we feel that depth of the work of the painter, we can then understand how the painting works. Now turn the page on 36. This concept is expressed as shan shui, literally mountain water, which used together represent the word landscape. More than two elements of an image. These represent two contemporary poles reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang, reaching vertically towards heaven, stable one and dry in the sun, while the water is yin, horizontal and resting on the earth, fluids moist and cool. The interaction of the yin, the receptive feminine aspect of universal energy, and its counterpart, yang, active and masculine, is of course fundamental notion of Taoism. What is often overlooked in an essential third element, the middle void, whether their interaction takes place. So these all are art of Chinese art, we can say. Water resembles things, other things. Sky resembles some any other things. The land here resembles some other things. So they paint in different view of life, structure of life. that how water works, how we are within the sun, how we are within the nature, how we are within the flowers and this thing. So masculine and feminine aspects of lives are derived in on these paintings, we can say landscape, by measuring different kinds of things, water, sun, day, moonlight, we can say hills, etc. are derived. Flowers, lands, lots and lots of things that is given by God to us, and that also free. The middle void where their interaction take place. This can be compared with the yogic practice of pranayam. Breath in, retain breath out. The suspension of breath is the wall where meditation occurs. The middle void is the essential. Nothing can happen without it. Hence the importance of the void. Unpainted Spain in Chinese landscape. This is also where man finds a fundamental root. In that space between heaven and earth, he becomes the conduit of communication between both poles of the universe. His presence is essential, even if it is only suggested, far from being lost or oppressed by the lofty peaks. He is, in Francis Saint's wonderful expression, the eye of the landscape. Except from landscape from the soul, ethics and spirituality in Chinese painting slightly addictive. So with this story we can understand that how the Chinese painter has mentioned each and the life path, the journey of life within his painting by describing these different methods, by showing water, by showing sun, we can say, by showing nature, by mountains, by streams, by oceans, by kings, we can say this, or by showing temples, by showing mosques, what the painters want to derive. It's the Chinese painter wants to derive. He want to save. He want to make us see about life. What is life? What is pranayam? What is yoga? What we can achieve? Meditation. The real I that stands within here. He likes to show, he or she likes to show the reality of life. Not the outer world that we are living. What we have come towards on the earth. What is our motto? Why we have come to earth? Just to study, to earn something, and to have a lavish life, and then what? Die at a particular age? No, we came here to go with the Almighty God, to the presence of mind, towards the nature, within the nature, towards to the right path, towards God. Yet they described everything by painting, and at last what is there? Nothing. The white. The landscape is white. That shows that after that, what is there? Nothing. This colorful life, this everything, this whatever the artificial world that we have derived, that is what? Nothing. If you will mix all color, which color you will get? Just experience this thing. And here that the path of life has been derived in this lesson by giving the examples of the Chinese landscape, and so it is called this landscape of the souls. What we are different souls derived, given by God, moving, we are doing our duties, we are the artisans, we are the actors that play the role given by God. Whatever role given by God, we play that role, and we enter the divine world, the world of joy, the world of God, we can say. Here's some small story. Getting inside, outside out. When French Peter Jean Dubuffet mooted the concept of art brought in 1940s, the art of untrained visionary was minority interest. From its start, almost wild beginnings, outsider art has gradually become the fastest growing area of interest in contemporary art internationally. Yes, we can say contemporary art, and outside art we can say was outsider art was much as this life of today's. This genre is described as the art of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received not formal training yet show talent and artistic insight. Their works are a stimulating contrast to a lost of mainstream offering. Around the time Duffett was propounding his concept in India, an untortured genius was creating paradise. Years ago, the little patch of jungle that he began clearing to make himself a garden sculpture with stone and recycled material is known to the world today as the Rock Garden at Chandigarh. Its 80-year-old creator-director Nat Chand is now hailed as India's biggest contributors to outsider art. The 50th issue, spring 2005 of Raw Vision, a UK-based magazine pioneer in its outside art publication, Future in Action, and its rock garden sculpture Women by the Waterfall on its anniversary issue's cover. The notion of art blood or raw art was of works that were in their raw state as regards culture and artistic influences. Anything and everything from a tin to a sink to be broken down car could be material for an art of art. Something Nation has taken a dizzying heights, recognizing his art as an outstanding testimony of the differences a single man may make when he lives his dream. The Swiss Commission of UNESCO, willing to honor him by way of a European exposition of his work, the Plymouth interactive show Realm of Nation, beginning October, will be held at leading museums in Switzerland, Belgium, France and Italy. The biggest reward in walking through the garden and seeing people enjoying my creation, Nick Chand says. Brinda Suri, Hindustan Times, 20th August 2005. So we can say that by this work, by the work of Indian by Chhattisgarh, we can imagine it. He had made his own art, and the world, the whole outer art, the whole world is in back to him, to look over there, to honor him. So that like that, the God had created this art, the art of nature, and we are creating the artificial art. So by this lesson we can get the real aim of life. What does life suggest, and how, which art we have to, which work we have to go, which landscape we have to follow within us. And this is created by this thing. If any problem, you can just say to me. Here are understanding the contrast the Chinese view of art with the European view. Explain the concept of Shan Shui. What do you understand by the term outsider art and art brut or raw art? Who was the untortured genius who created the paradise, and what is the nature of his contribution to art? Talking about the text, discuss the following statement in group of your four. The emperor may rule over the territory he has conquered, but only the artists know the way within. So you can understand the artist only can get what are the views, what are the aspects, what are the emotions that are being created in the art itself. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. Yes, landscape, as I have explained about this thing, that which type of art, which type of work that God have derived for us has been, which colors, which angles, which dimension. But what does it takes? It takes to the real truth of life that is created by the artist over here. So my dear friends, go through it, go through the exercises what are being derived over there. We would like to go within the next one, but I think so you might have gone through the books and yes, poems are there. One poem and two chapters from the text Hornbill. You have to go through some question answers and grammatical, as grammatical portion will be more within to you in your income custody. So be with it. Any problem you can just contact me. Thank you very much.